Hi, Vicki. Thanks for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Hi Nathan. So my name's Vicki Anderson, and I work at Anaplan, based out of the London office, obviously in the UK where I'm based. So I work as a program manager, and yeah, I had the pleasure of obviously crossing paths with yourself when you were at Anaplan.
What are some of your hobbies and interests?
I like reading. I know that sounds super boring, but I really like reading. I like skiing. I like, well, to be honest, I like drinking wine. I like physics. I have a real interest in physics. Physics is my thing, and I've got a geography degree, so I love like books on like geopolitics and things like that as well. So quite varied, to be honest.
How about the reading? What are some things that you read about?
Um, with the non-fiction, as I said, I like books on like geopolitics, and genuinely, I'm not just saying this, but things to do with space as well. Not to the same level as yourself, obviously, but as I said, I do have a bit of an interest in physics. In terms of fiction, I really like the James Patterson books, Michael Connolly, and the Harry Bosch series as well, crime books, basically.
So about the geopolitics, there's so much going on right now. What are some of the top things that come to mind whenever you look at around the world at the geopolitical situation and the future of the next year or two?
Yeah, it's quite crazy actually. I mean, this situation at the moment with Russia and Ukraine, I think, as I said, having that kind of background in the geopolitics side of things, it's just giving you a wider perspective on, why Putin might want to take Ukraine and how dangerous that actually could potentially be for the wider world, especially obviously for us here in Europe. The strategic defence bases it would give them as well is crazy. I know part of the reason why they took Crimea a few years ago, the annex there, was all to do with having a warm water port and things like that. Sounds super nerdy, but yeah, I think it's just people just see him as some sort of madman and aren't actually thinking about why he might be doing it. So it's been super interesting to kind of think of why strategically he would be making the moves that he is.
I think there's some speculation that he's just waiting until after the Olympics are over.
I'm not convinced he's actually going to do anything, if I'm honest. I think it's a big move. I think he'll start smaller, like kind of what he did with Crimea. I think he'll start annexing off smaller areas first. I don't see him going for a full-on invasion. I don't think that would be wise. I don't think that would be good for anyone, and it wouldn't be good for himself, as he knows, especially with yourselves obviously in the US taking a keen interest with it as well. I think that always scares him. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I hope I'm right though.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems having this continue on for many years would be very destabilizing too. Taking a little bit and taking a little bit more and then taking a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, we're already seeing it in this country. A lot of Europe relies on Russia for gas and things like that. I mean, how that's happened, who knows? But anyway, and everything with COVID and crazy winters the last couple of years, there's a real gas shortage over here. So our gas prices have gone absolutely through the roof at the moment. I wouldn't presume that you guys would know anything about that, but yeah, our energy bills are going up on an average of about £700 this year.
Wow, that's a
Yeah,
lot.
that's average. Yeah, it's really, really a lot. Yeah, the government have had to step in. Yeah, it's been crazy. So yeah, just further destabilization in that region is just going to add to things like that as well.
Well, taking your mind off of the present for a little bit and looking out into like the next 100, 200, 300 years, what does humanity look like to you?
I mean, I don't know. I've thought about this question long and hard. I don't believe that we'll just be inhabiting this one planet Earth. I just don't believe I don't believe that it's going to be sustainable. Even if you take out the climate change concerns and things like that, even if you remove that from the equation, just the fact that the population is living a lot longer, we're physically just going to run out of space and natural resources regardless of anything else. So to me, it's just going to become completely unsustainable for all of us to be here, is my personal view. I'm not going to be there to experience it myself, obviously.
What kind of resources do you think we'll run out of?
Water.
But we have so much water on Earth, like then almost 2/3 of the surface of the Earth is covered with water.
Yeah, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be that easy to, obviously, yes, fair enough, but all that water needs to be filtered, etc. And also, if you do bring in the climate change piece as well, the planet is warming. We're going to need water for a lot more other things than just for our own natural consumption. With obviously, when we're seeing like over in California and places like that, the crazy droughts, the wildfires, all these things, I just think that will be what the next war is over.
It seems to me that what we really lack is clean water in the right places.
Well, yeah.
Maybe a lot of investment in aqueducts and filtering and recycling and those types of things would be useful.
Yeah, but I wouldn't imagine there would be a lot of money in that. So therefore, it's getting the right investment, isn't it? That's the problem. It's the same with recycling. There's no money in waste.
That's
my cynical view.
Water is something that people need. So they would pay for clean water, I think.
Yes, but then it's a lot of the poorer nations as well that do need it desperately more. So how will they be able to pay for it?
I think the same way they get MRI machines. You have technology that's developed in richer countries that maybe becomes cheaper and kind of trickles down.
Yeah, I guess. I just think the demand will be high. As I said, this is obviously my personal view, but I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I was looking at like the Swedish company. They have like a recycling shower. So you take a shower now and you get like the fresh water. It you use it for a few seconds and then it goes down the drain. And then, but in this recycling shower, it actually filters and reheats the water. So you use the same amount of water continuously. So you use the same amount of water if you take a 5-minute shower versus a 30-minute shower.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So I just wonder if more technologies like that might be.
That would be super helpful.
Yeah. And also, just like clothes washing, for example, you really don't need to get fresh water from, the system. You could filter the water after you used it on the clothes and then reuse the same water.
For your shower and for your drinking water. Yeah, maybe that's what you need to start for your new business.
Yeah. Or maybe we could give the idea to somebody. There's 8 billion of us, so somebody should be working on this.
You'd hope.
So did you know that NASA is planning to send astronauts to the moon again for the first time since 1972?
No, I did not know that. No, I didn't. I think actually, to be fair, when I've read about yourself, I've read that, but I would not have known that myself. I've not seen it in any news outlets or anything in the UK.
What would it have taken for you to know it? Like how do you get your news?
I think I get. Obviously we have our UK-based news stations here, like the BBC and Sky, but also Twitter. I actually get quite a lot from Twitter. I don't use Twitter as like a social media platform, but I find it very, very good for news. Because depending on who you follow, you can obviously get news on maybe more niche subjects that wouldn't necessarily make the headlines. So I think I'd be most likely to see it on Twitter.
Do you know how many people you follow on Twitter about?
Well, I don't know. I could check. I'll check.
but like more than 1,000 or less than 1,000?
I think it would be less than 1,000. 482.
482. And I imagine, if each one of them tweets one a day, that'd be like 482 tweets. And I imagine you probably only see like maybe 80 tweets or so a day.
Yes, definitely. And it's like an echo chamber in there as well, isn't it? Depending on who you follow, you just hear the same things.
Well, and even the people you follow, I think their tweets get
Yeah, lost
reprioritized.
in the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now you've made me think I need to up my followers.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, used to back in 1969, whenever they landed on the moon for the first time, in the US, we only had, 3 TV stations, maybe 1 or 2 newspapers per city, a few national magazines. And if you made it in all of those, pretty much 90% of the people knew about whatever it was, I would
Yeah,
think.
which is crazy. And we've got a lot more access now and a lot less knowledge.
Yeah, a lot more to distract us, less
Yes,
to
true.
focus on.
True.
So what do you think about us going back to the moon?
I think that is it's important. I know that there's a lot of debate going on at the moment around money and the planet and well, I say your obviously government spending should be going. But as I said, I do believe that eventually it's going to be unsustainable to have all of us on Earth. And I know that we aren't going to go and live on the moon, but I think it's the first step again to getting us to Mars, which is the next big one. So I think it is very important. And also, I think it's really ignorant to just be floating about on this one tiny rock when there's a whole universe out there and not even bothering to find out more about it. I think there's an ignorance about that doesn't sit right with me. Not saying I believe in aliens and things like that, but we can't be the only people here.
I think we should be the aliens.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, maybe that would be better. Maybe we are.
Well, you mentioned the water issues and you mentioned sustainability. I mean, how do you sort of approach the conversation that people say, why are we spending so much money to send just a few people to the moon just for a few days whenever we have all these big problems here on Earth?
I would say that you need to think of the bigger picture, and you need to see it as a way of investing in the future, so that your grandkids, however long it is going to be in the future, have a sustainable and healthy place to live. I think it's ignorant to just, obviously you need to focus on the present, of course, but I do think that it's, again, just comes back to being a little bit ignorant, just and selfish, just be wanting to deal with what's happening to yourself right here, right now. Because we're all part of the problem, as in the damage that we're causing to this planet, that is kind of forcing us to think, where else can we go? So I would say it in that way.
Have you heard of Elon Musk's view of like what his goals are in terms of space?
I'm not sure, to be honest, because he says a lot. He's a cool guy, but he's eccentric, I would say. He says a lot. Did he not say that he wanted to have a civilization on Mars by a certain date? Is that right?
Yeah, 1 million people on Mars by 2050.
That's right. I mean, that seems like an optimistic goal, but hey, he's always before his time, so you'll be up there, Nathan.
Maybe I have to stay fit, I guess. But it's like 30 years in the future. And if you think back to like the Wright brothers in 1901, I think they had their first flight. I'm pretty sure we had 1 million people fly by the time, 1930 came around. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, that's true. When you put it like that.
Kind of interesting. Or, the first time we had 2 computers talking to each other, how long was it before we had, over 1 million of them talking? Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of it like that. When you put it like that, it makes it sound like it's so achievable.
All depends on the growth rate.
Yes, well, that's true. That's true.
But he's working He's working on this fully reusable rocket that he could use for taking people to Mars, taking people from London to Houston. Like you can go from Houston to London in 30 minutes or less with this rocket.
Wow. Good. You'd have to be strapped in for that. That would be handy. I could come and visit and do this interview in person.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
We'll have to revisit in 2050 if we're still alive.
And then, Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, he also has a space company. He has a slightly different vision of what he wants to do. I was wondering if you've heard of it at all.
I've heard of his space, the kind of branch. I didn't realize he had a kind of thought about where he wanted to go with it, if I'm honest. I thought that was more, I'm a billionaire, so I'll just have this project. I didn't realize that he was quite serious about taking it further.
Yeah, what he talks about is when he started Amazon, the credit card system already existed, the internet existed, the shipping system already existed. So there was like this foundation that he could build Amazon on. And he wants to build that same foundation like for space, where entrepreneurs can go and do all these space-based businesses and be, like he calls it, the road to space. And ultimately what he wants to do is try to move all of the energy production, heavy industry off of Earth and put it into orbital facilities or someplace else in the solar system to kind of protect the ecosystem here on Earth.
Oh, wow. I had no idea about that. And when is he hoping to achieve that by?
Well, that's a good question. Timing's always the issue. His mascot for his company, on the shield is like a turtle, and it also says go step by step, quickly. It's kind of like what he's talking about. But I think timing, he's a little less in a hurry than Elon Musk. So that's for sure.
That's cool though. I had no idea about that. The minute I get off this call, I'm going to be Googling that.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's done some talks on it. Jeff Bezos in space. I can send you some links.
Oh yes, definitely. That is really interesting. Honestly, I had no idea about that one.
Yeah. Well, if it was safe and affordable, would you take a trip to space?
Yes. Yes. You'd probably have to tranquilize me, but I would go.
How far would you go? Just to orbit, to the moon? Would you immigrate to Mars and be a part of that million-person city?
Don't know. That's hard. It's hard to answer without thinking about what it would be like to go. I don't think I'd want to be the first, but yeah, I think I would. I do. I think I would. I think that would be such a historic moment. And by 2050, I'd be old by then anyway. So yeah, oldish. Yeah. Just try to work out. Yeah.
Hopefully by that time, medical technology means that you're just, the age is only in your birthday and not in your body.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, to be fair, my thing would be, it wouldn't be living there, it would be getting me there. That would be what would freak me out, because quite claustrophobic. And when you see them in those rockets, it's like, oh, no.
Yeah, they're all like strapped up. Like,
yeah,
really
they're
close.
Like literally, and they're practically upside down, and they're getting blasted at however fast it's going. I'm a bit like, not sure about that. But if Elon Musk comes up with a nice, comfortable way to get up there, then yeah, why not? Heights don't bother me or anything like that.
Have you ever been on a cruise ship?
Yeah.
And do you find those claustrophobic?
It's a good question. No, I don't find them claustrophobic because they're so massive. I mean, I suppose it's the same concept. You're stuck in one place, but it's more. It's just when you look at the rockets and they're like squeezed into one chair, and it's like the control panels or whatever are like there in front of them that I'm like, no, I'd want to be able to move. Like when you see them up there, you know, at the space station and stuff, and they're floating around like that, that's fine. I know I'm still trapped there, but that's fine. It's the tightness of that little space to get there that would get me. But if you could get me something like a commercial jet, that would be perfect.
But you don't feel claustrophobic in a commercial jet with like, you know, a person on either side of you, people in front, behind, you can't really move.
I book an aisle. I book an aisle for this reason. Sometimes I fly quite a lot, to be fair, so I'm quite used to it. But I usually book an aisle for this reason. I hate being at the window. And I hate being, obviously everybody hates being in the middle, because then I feel like I can't get out. Whereas if I have an aisle, at least I have space that way, and I'm quite short, so I don't really have that leg room issue. But yeah, I mean, if I get on a plane and I start to think about it, then yeah, it does bother me. It really bothers me. But at least I'm sitting upright, and it's not like, you know, obviously you get turbulence, but these rockets, like, that doesn't look comfortable. They're getting like thrown about from side to side, and it's on fire and all sorts. No. Would you go? Well, obviously, I'm sure you would.
I probably would. You know, I get scared easily, and I'm scared of heights, but I can fly a small airplane, so that's okay.
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome.
But you know, I book a window seat usually because in the aisle I don't feel like I can lean in any direction, but at least in the window I could lean over and like take a nap or something.
Yeah, the window's more comfortable, I do agree, but I like the aisle because I don't feel so hemmed in. That's all it is for me. When I'm at the window, it's not so bad when you're with people you know, because you know you don't feel so trapped, and obviously you can get them to move. But if I'm flying myself, I hate being at the window because I'm just thinking I'm stuck here now. I don't know where I think I'm going in the aisle seat because I'm still not getting off the plane. But it's just must be a psychological thing.
Well, let's say that Elon Musk is successful in building his million-person city, and your great-great-great-granddaughter has grown up in Mars all of her life, and she's in high school now, and she's doing this project for like history class or something, where she has to write a paper about what was Earth like before we started moving out into space, and she sees this video. And do you have any like tidbits about life now and what people are like now, and you know, things that you think would be good to share with her?
Oh wow, that's quite. It's so hard to imagine that. I don't know. I think I would just say that Earth is very beautiful. That we were so lucky to have it, and hopefully still have it in some capacity. And yeah, 99% of people are good, and always trust your instincts. There you go. So hard to imagine that.
So I know. Can you imagine seeing a recording or reading something from your great grandmother? Like what? Like there's almost like the life experiences are so different.
I know, it's so different, and you don't even know, you can't even imagine what their life experience would be like as well to even come up with some sort of comparison. You know? Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, let's hope that does happen.
Well, Vicki, I know we talked about a lot of things, but is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or did you have any questions for me?
No, I don't think so, Nathan, to be honest. I think, just like to ask you when your interest with space really started. I bet you get asked that all the time, but yeah, when did you become as interested as you are in it?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Well, you know, Star Trek was very big growing up. We watched Star Trek, me and my friends. My dad used to take me to the NASA Johnson Space Center here in Houston. And at that time, it was an open campus. You could just walk onto campus without going through security. Wow. And all the exhibits were like on different buildings that they were actually also using for the real work as well. So you would actually walk between the buildings. And he used to take me there, and I used to study each of the exhibits and write them down in a notebook. And that type of thing. And now I'm really excited. In the early 1990s, NASA got, fenced off, and they created a visitor center right next to it where they put all the exhibits. So starting next week, I should be able to walk on campus like I used to, I guess 40 years ago or 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
That's going to be awesome.
Kind of exciting from that standpoint.
That's so exciting.
But I think like the Star Trek, I always envisioned humanity like branching out into space and, us going further. But I think whenever the internet started really growing, that became like the focus. Then the excitement, all the job was around, internet and computers and stuff. And then now space is picking back up. I think the 2020s are going to be to space what the 1990s were to the internet. So
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, the internet obviously has been absolutely fabulous, but at the same time, it's kind of shrunk the world, if that makes sense, because you don't really need to go out now to find things out or even travel. Like everything's at your fingertips right this second, which is so wonderful, of course, but also has its drawbacks because people are losing interest in things because they don't really have to.
That's right. Yeah. And, if you're talking to somebody, it's like you could talk to anybody in the world, like immediately. So
I know.
It's a little different whenever you run into them physically, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of stuck in that conversation for a little bit.
Quite a bit. Well, I wish you all the best, Nathan. Good luck. I'm so excited to see what you do. It's so nice to just see somebody actually going off to do something that they actually love and proper living the dream. Such a phrase that's thrown around a lot, but not many people can say that they have a real passion for something and they're going off to work it. So I just think that will be great, and I think we'll all be excited to see what you do next, and you'll need to keep us posted.
Sure thing. Well, thank you so much, Vicki, and you have a good rest of your day, and I hope you come to Houston sometime.
Oh, definitely. Don't you worry. You can give me a tour of the Space Center.
I would love to.
Thanks, Nathan. Enjoy your day.
Bye, Vicki.
Bye now.